Hello, Blue. Welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, Goldsmith. It is the 28th of June, 2024. And yeah, we've got a few things of news here on a Friday. Very common, very often. We get into the end of the week in Upland, and there's nothing left to do. There's no announcements to have. Everybody seems fatigued with a week. They go into the weekend with hopes that next week is going to be beautiful. We're going to have some announcements, and we're going to see the changes in the game of Upland we're looking for. We're going to have that big announcement we were hoping for, or the city's going to drop that we're waiting to drop. But there's a big end to the week this week. A couple big things, kind of discussed, but really setting up the future of Upland and some of the future features in the game that people have been looking for a long time. Specifically, blueprints being set up by a burn and earn event. So burn to earn blueprint, or a blueprint, or multiple blueprints, I should say, if you have multiple burns to do. Get into the specifics of this burn and earn event because it is a little bit of a buried secret. It was one of those things that Upland didn't tell people what to do or how to get ready for. There was the items being burnt. You had to, I don't know, you had to be somebody who was either collecting them for collecting's sake, or in the back of your mind thought there'd be more value for a future burn event or something. And obviously on the back side of it, it makes people think about the assets they own in a different way. You buy it for one reason, you can use it for another. And we'll get into the specifics of that burn event. Obviously, that is a big piece of the announcement for today, but there's a number of other ones. We take a look at Upland's Twitter. There's a lot that's there on a daily, weekly basis. But of course, when you see some little pieces along the way, it's good to stop and see what those are. Sometimes they're little hints about what could be coming next, and sometimes they're celebrations of miniature or small or minute or often overlooked parts of the Upland ecosystem, and it's nice to be able to mark them along the way. One of which is just celebrating or looking at a number of town halls being built in Upland right now. It's just the expansion of cities where we can have meta ventures without having a city hall. You can't really apply for a meta venture in a specific city. When those town halls are added, obviously that city is opened up to have meta ventures. You're more able to have businesses and conduct business and continue to build out your land holdings in that area and more fully play the game of Upland in a city. Additionally, kind of a little bit of a celebration here. Matilda Studios is putting out the scoreboard for week 4 of June 2024 from the tournament pass. Again, week 4 of June 2024 tournament pass winners. This is something that's building and starting to grow here. There's Matilda as a game with a weekly tournament passes, competitions happening on a weekly basis and a monthly basis. And this being a key part of layer 2, this being something that's a different way of gamification, a different way of competing in Upland. So we'll stop and celebrate that, that this is something that's happening in the game of Upland. Was put out alongside the gaming, the idea of new ways to play games in the game of Upland, new ways to compete. We also have Track Hero dropping its staking as of today, or going live with its staking as of today. So staking Upex, compete for Upex. You stake, you win, you lose, you don't get as much prize depending on what position in the race you might be. The owner of the experience, Abdullah86SA, gets a small percentage of all of those events, all of those staked races. So it is a new form of gamification, the way people can play in it, but it's also a new form of revenue for people who own those experiences. We have exactly one at this moment, exactly one monument, that it is the Lucille Stadium. But this is something that's going to expand, it's going to grow, and it's a way of having an experience like a layer 2, but having an experience hosted in layer 1 where people can make revenue. And this is exciting because there will be more. What else do we have that's important? Well, Upland also posted a video about the monuments and the value of the monuments and what they are and how they are a game changer. Again, that goes right beside the Lucille Stadium, right beside Track Hero. The idea that there will be more, they can be more, and monuments are the key to that. We've had a few other monuments come into the game of Upland because of these cities. Every time we have a season, we have a city that hosts, or there is a city that hosts the race at the end, the championship race of that season. Around that racetrack, there has to be a monument to hold it all together. That monument is a monument. We have 3 additional monuments in addition to Lucille Stadium after the end of the season. So we have 3 additional monuments plus Lucille. 3 are unowned. So those are opportunities for potentially those to get bought, sold, won. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how people are going to acquire these. But once they have acquired them, good to see you. Good to see you, Dopest Crew. Once those are acquired, those are going to be the same thing. We're going to see a gamified experience get developed in those monuments. We're going to have people be able to interact and enter those areas. They're going to be a section or an opportunity for commerce, and they are going to be a part of the game of Upland where there is additional gamification. And of course, we'll get into everything. The big piece, obviously, I kind of buried the lead on a little bit. They didn't get into the specifics, but that's the blueprint burn. A feature that is very key to the game of Upland, and that it's a first dissemination of blueprints. The burn is very key because it's kind of a sneaky key tied into the season's passes, those cosmetic passes. If you had thought to hold on to 1 extra for every season and not burn it until now, that's where the reward lies. But otherwise, let's get into everything. All views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Shouldn't take as game strategy or financial advice. They represent the game of the team of Upland. We do have occasionally guests and contributors on. The guests have their own opinions. They're welcome to them. Should not be taken as game strategy or financial advice. They represent the game of Upland, the team of Upland, myself, the Goldsmith, or the Cafe Nightly Show. That's an easy enough piece there. Let's get into things. So first and foremost, let's go and take a look at the last thing that I didn't even put in the header up front in the show, because it's just a part of the wheel. It's a part of the cycle. It's a part of the circuit. And that is every single weekend in a season, we have a Spark weekend. And now I guess maybe it's called Sparklet weekend because we officially had the transition to Sparklet. So welcome to our first Sparklet weekend. Guess what we don't have for the weekend? A Sparklet sale. Last weekend we didn't have a Spark sale because it was the last weekend of Spark, and the transition was about to happen to Sparklet. Now we're the first weekend of Sparklet, and we don't have a Sparklet sale. No direct explanation. We just know we don't have one. Next weekend, are we going to have a Sparklet sale? By the time we have 3 weekends in a row without a Sparklet sale, I start to feel a little suspicious. And I'll tell you what I'm suspicious of. I'm suspicious of at a certain point, if I were to, and again, this is not specific advice or speculation about the time it's going to happen, but if I were to get ready to launch a token, I'd be very careful about how I am disseminating that token pre-launch. Again, before there's an official launch, where there's an official sale, before there's listing on an official site, sometimes there's these run-up sales, and people are continuing to sell a token, and there's speculation that the token is going to launch blank day, and people go and speculate and purchase the token or earn the token however they can. They either somebody thinks they know something that maybe they do or don't know, and somebody else doesn't know that information, and maybe somebody really does know and they're acting on inside information. I don't think that's happening right now in Upland, but it does feel like possible that Upland is being careful about how they sell Sparklet at this time. Maybe they'll be having a sale next weekend. Maybe it really is technical limitations or an abundance of caution surrounding the transition from Spark to Sparklet. I really don't know. We'll see what next weekend brings. I was hoping to see a Sparklet sale this weekend so we could see new denominations. Instead of Upland selling, the 0.05, 0.10, 0.25, and half or 1, those type of denominations. You got a little bit different denominations because a Sparklet is a thousandth of a spark as opposed to 0.01 spark, was 100th of a spark. So you could sell them in different ways and different amounts. I don't know how else that could be done, but I would have opened new possibilities. Upwind could have changed how many they were selling and at what price point. But if it's really, really, really close to the token launch, I can definitely see them not doing that. So I don't know. I know nothing. I do hope that we continue moving on that pathway for this token launch. And if having a few weeks without sales is what predates it, that works for me. That works for me. With that, just keep our eyes out. That is something that's going to be the part of the future here, part of the immediate future. Maybe before the token launch, maybe before we even see Spark or Sparklet ever sold again. We know that we will have another Sparklet weekend next week, and we're still inside the season of Genesis, or the Genesis season. All right, let's take a look at some announcements that a little more official. We have some information, some documents, some things to read. Let's look at the big one, and let's not save that for last. Let's get it out of the way. It is the one piece of news that was not necessarily forecast, but again, it also helps fulfill a long-term process and promise, and it's something that we have to do the first step before we can do the second, and that is in blueprints. We're thrilled to announce the upcoming launch of the innovative Building Model Blueprint Legits. This new feature will eventually allow players to design their own building model blueprints and sell them, unlocking access to exclusive and unique models. And we'll get into some of the specifics here, because I do want to highlight the specifics as well as the broad picture here, because the specifics matter for a couple reasons. In preparation for the groundbreaking feature, we're giving away our first building blueprints. The first blueprints available will be the Luxury Tower Blueprint, symbolizing luxury and prestige in Upland. To get your hands on these coveted blueprints, players need to burn one of each of the 3 season passes, Frost, Blossom, and Genesis, between Friday, June 28th and Friday, June 5th. That's impossible! You can't go back in time! They meant July 5th, guys. They meant July 5th. Again, this typo has not yet been corrected. But between Friday, June the 28th and Friday, July 5th at 9 a.m. PT. Okay, pretty simple directions, pretty simple time frame. Let's look at some of the specifics here. First and foremost, the article is actually hosted on X. I click and go look at more on the article. Here I come over to X to see it. I called Twitter X a few times. I was scared. Maybe my brain is melting here. The Luxury Tower first blueprint available in the Upland. The Luxury Tower blueprint symbolizes luxury and prestige. As I said earlier, this model will be available in all neighborhoods except the design-themed ones, specifically Bermuda. There will be future design-themed neighborhoods, but we don't have any other ones as of right now. To get your hands on these coveted blueprints, players need to burn one of each of 3 seasons passes, Frost, Blossom, and Genesis. We know that time frame. We see it down here. They have it correct here, July 5th as opposed to June 5th, as they're closing at 9 a.m. PT. And the start is Friday, June 28th, which means we're already open. Burning a complete set of these passes, one of each, will earn you a model blueprint. The more sets you burn, the more blueprints you earn. The Luxury Tower model will be exclusively available only through these blueprints. The requirements: 1 Blossom, 1 Frost, 1 Genesis season pass burnt within a specific time. Rewards: 1 model blueprint for every set of passes burned. The deadline is Friday, July 5th at 9 a.m. PT. How to use the blueprints. Initially, this process will be handled manually, but it will eventually become an automated in-game feature. For now, we'll be mainly assigning the blueprints to your chosen property. Each blueprint allows the owner to build the model on one property one time. To use the blueprint, burn the blueprint. Submit the details of your property when you want to build the new model using this provided link. Hello, link. There it is. So you have to manually go and put this information in. Upland verifies that you did the burn. Upland goes and gets to that property. Upland designates that you are allowed to build that structure on that building, or that structure on that property. It gets unlocked for you. Um, Again, once that's been done, each blueprint will allow the owner to build the model on one property, so they get unlocked to be constructed on that property. You are still using your sparklet. Keep that in mind. You know, just go magic. Blueprints are the right to build a structure. It's not an automatically built structure. Players have until Friday the 5th to burn their season passes. Don't miss out on this opportunity to enhance your upland experience with unique and luxurious structures. Good luck to everyone. And start burning those passes for a chance to own a piece of Upland's future skyline. Okay. I just want to look at price point. $6.99 for each of these passes. If you had purchased them at the time and held on to them, you own them for $6.99 each. As this pass is still available, you could buy one at $6.99 and jump right in the fray. You would have to go to the secondary market if you don't currently own them for the Frost and the Blossom season. I know that some people bought them and held on to them specifically to have them as collector's items. Some people bought them and held on to them specifically because they thought this type of thing would happen. There'd be another burn event that would, reward them for having that pass and burn that at a later date. Some people thought they would buy them and hold them. Maybe they'll be burnable next year. Some people thought, oh, why would I need this pass? I already burnt one. I got the reward. I get the cosmetics each week, and those cosmetics are going to be permanent, but they're not going to be exchangeable. It's just my way of interacting with Upland. So now we have this other use case. Burning 3, you would have had to buy and hold on to them. You can't retroactively go on and buy these. You can go and buy them in the secondary, but you can't go back to Upland Store and buy them. They were open as buy as many as you want. They were unlimited capacity, so you could have bought 15, 20, 30 if you wanted. And if you bought 15, 20, 30 when these were available, you go to your handy dandy miscellaneous legit shop and you list them because they're selling. They're selling in UPX, they're selling in USD, they're selling significantly above what the original price was because people had this idea that this is the first and this is the genesis and this is incredible. It's a blueprint and it's different and now they can have it. I want to put a little bit of perspective, and this is not saying this is not a great opportunity. This is not saying that it's not something that I'm excited about. I've been excited about blueprints for a long time. But here's where the reality sits, or where the context sits. Look at the price point. $7 a piece times 3, $21. Did people know about this ahead? Not really. Some people made guesses that it could be the case. People who made the guesses, they might be out for the profit. And guess what? People who didn't, they don't have much choice. They can't buy them at mint price. They're probably going to have to pay more than mint price to get them and pay in USD significantly more than the USD price times 1,000. If people want to get them in USD, they're going to pay significantly more, or at least somewhat more, than USD than the original sale price. I don't know why somebody would want to sell these for less than they bought them for. So, ta-da! Now we have a market. Now we have a secondary sales that I'm pretty excited to see. We see these meta ventures getting propped up, or an event helping support meta ventures by encouraging people or giving people a utility, a use case, a reason to have these assets that otherwise, why do people have? I think that it is it is an opportunity. It's one of those things that Upland is supporting the meta ventures by giving the meta ventures reasons to sell things, which is nice. But the price point, again, at $21, I want to talk about what differentiates this structure, this blueprint structure, from any other structure in the game of Upland. First and foremost, every other structure in the game of Upland, you stake, spark, you build. You don't have a special price to enter or price to be able to construct it. There's been some structures that you can only mint during certain times. There's been some structures you can only mint on certain properties. But this is a little different. You're buying the right to buy a version or a type of structure exactly once on one property, there's going to be a cost to it. And when these blueprint shops come out, people are going to have to pay what they have to pay. And if people really like one structure versus another, maybe they'll pay significantly for it, maybe they won't. But the interesting thing on this is I would assume that if you are paying significantly more for that structure, $21 versus 0, I would hope there's some utility to it. And maybe there is. Maybe there could be. Maybe somebody who builds a gamification, a layer 2 game, wants to highlight these structures in a certain way. Maybe at some point Upland wants to highlight these structures in a certain way. But I don't really see upfront in any language why you want to have one of these structures. It's not like it says, hey, having one of these structures grants you blank, blank, and blank. Or, hey, at one of these structures, you can now apply for a special type of meta venture that does X, Y, and Z. None of that information's here because none of that information seems to be part of this event or the way this is set up. I personally think $21 is a pretty significant premium to pay to have a little bit different of a structure on your property. I've got some whimsical structures in Bermuda right now, are being built right now. They're whimsical. They go crazy. They look different than most of the structures in the game of Upland. You can only build them in Bermuda. They are exclusive. They are rare. They are very cool. I didn't pay $21 a piece just for the right to build them. I think the price point is something that there are people who are able to wrap their head around. They are very interested. They want to have these structures. They will see these structures on their property. And, maybe they're treating these structures differently than any other structure in the game of Upland because it's the first time we're doing it with blueprints. And maybe that's going to mean something as collectible property. But the other thing I like to point out about structures on properties, and again, I like the idea of blueprints. I think it's a great type of meta venture or potential later meta venture, not here now, will be here later. I think that it is great to have a UGC community that is robust and that I think it's great that there's opportunities to have resale of assets to take part in a contest. So I just want to point out that structures are not exchangeable or saleable assets. They are linked assets in the UI tied to a specific address. So in order to get the $21 of value out, you have to sell the property that has a structure on it. You have to, in addition to selling that property, get rid of it, to sell that structure, you have to, as you sell that, um, have the structure completed. You can't start the structure and try to sell it. So that is a restriction of building as you're building. And it is going to be something that, if the person buys that property with a structure on it, the question comes, what is the utility? Is there an enhanced utility of that specific structure versus any other? And the answer is, I think you're buying and building that structure for the sake of having this structure because you want it, you like the look of it. It is interesting to you. I don't know if everyone's going to feel that way. I don't know if people are going to build that structure thinking that there's a flip potential in it. Because again, if you can't remove that structure from that property, it's tied to that property. If you can't take that structure and separate it and sell it separately, you really are talking about improving the property. And if that utility, if there isn't an additional meta venture or functionality or feature to that property, to that structure, I don't know where that sets for, where that value is for most people. But again, that is a question to determine on your own. It is something that we will continue to see. Again, it's not an idea that there isn't value. It's the idea of price setting. Is $21 the right price to participate? And keep in mind, at $21, that's the absolute bottom, I think. I don't see a lot of people selling these for less than mint price. And I 100% know at this point that the market is significantly, the current market, the ones that are selling, the ones that are at the bottom of the market, significantly above mint price. So definitely worth noting, definitely worth considering. And it is still exciting. It's still exciting, even though I question the price pointing. It's exciting because blueprints are coming. It's exciting because Upland, again, kind of surprised us again. They gave utility for something that they gave a type of utility that we didn't know was coming for an asset we knew about. The asset being the passes, the season passes, the utility being burnable to earn another reward. Um, and that's about my thoughts there. I think that we're going to continue to see these type of asset burns where you buy an asset. Upward either tells you buy it so you can burn it, or they don't, and they tell you, hey, if you still own a blank, you can burn it and get blank reward. That definitely could happen. It opens up a lot of possibilities, and I will continue to watch out to see what the next ones are. Let's take a look at Track Hero. Obviously, this is over on Upland's. Wow, Upland's Twitter. I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it, and I definitely should be doing it every single day, every single time. Trying to fight against that impulse to switch. All right, taking a quick look at Track Hero. We are kind of already familiar with this. We've seen images, we've seen the playthrough, we've seen this get featured on the weekly community podcast or stream with Light Up Dan. But now stakes are available. So the staking is like racing, where you're putting a certain amount of stakes in. There is a split where the property only gets a little tiny bit, and then the rest is divided among all the players. If you get first place, you're making a profit. If you get second place, you may or may not, depending on how many players are playing alongside you. Everyone's staking the same amount. The loser might get nothing if it's a one-on-one. The winner might get it all if it's a head-to-head. But that is going to be something that continues to evolve. There are going to be monthly and weekly and yearly leaderboards. People are going to be able to go and spectate on races that are happening in real time in the same room under the same, essentially the same experience or a part of the same experience. So it's kind of exciting. The use case of a cafe with an additional gamified layer inside that cafe. Looking forward to seeing how that works. Again, this is already available, kicked off. Go check out Lusail Stadium to see this, and you have to travel there in order to stake, in order to participate. So keep that in mind. And good luck on the track. Good luck on the track. Watch out for the llamas. Don't fall in the holes. Don't step on the glue. Don't trip over the hurdles. So pretty easy on that one. Again, back to Twitter's of Upland, the old Upland Twitter. We did have a couple other things here drop in. First and foremost, look at that. Matilda Studios celebrating week 4 of June 2024, the Tournament Pass leaderboard. Tournament Pass gets you into the leaderboard for 3 months or for an entire year, depending on which pass you want. You compete every single week. The winners win, the losers lose. And if you are somebody who puts time and effort in week after week after week, you can find yourself on the leaderboards, the competitive leaderboards, time after time after time after time. It definitely is possible. As the pool continues to grow, you might continue to see a different set of winners. A different set of winners all the time. We have people cycling in, people who are competitive for a little while, and then somebody comes in and scoops up the race out from everybody else's nose. They are better, they're faster, they're doing everything they need to do to get the points higher while they are competing and playing, and they don't die as quick and all those things. So that's kind of key here. Congratulations to the winners at this point for this past week. This is something that happens on a weekly basis. And then finally, let's take a look. Sparkling in action. Town Hall Build-A-Palooza. Yes, so we knew about Bermuda Town Hall being built. We discussed it. We saw it up last week. It's going to be completed. We knew about it. Look at that. It looks like a candy shop. Very, very cool. There is City Hall in Washington, D.C. It looks like a federal building. It looks like an office building. Kind of interesting. And then finally, we have South Lake Tahoe. There's a recent structure for South Lake Tahoe for the City Hall. City Halls open up the opportunity to go and register, go and apply for a meta venture. So that's fun. It's good that we have that kind of capstone, that roundabout way of making a city, having the meta ventures be able to be applied for and used in the city. That really brings them to life. So I'm glad that we're there for these 3 cities, or almost there for these 3 cities, with some of them actively or still in construction process. And then otherwise, what else do we have? Oh, I don't know. What else we had was a Sparklet weekend. Again, we kind of started with this. So we'll end with this. Sparklet weekend is open right now. The Sparklet weekend is your opportunity if you are leveling up from pro to director, director to executive to chief executive, or even from Uplander to pro, to get a little bonus as you level up in Sparklet. It's a 20% bonus for all of the categories that would normally have a level up bonus. And there is a level up bonus even for lower levels for level up. So opportunity to level up now. Make sure you do it inside the weekend if you want the extra reward. But there is no Spark sale, as mentioned. I'll leave it there. It may be something that doesn't happen until after the Spark sale. We don't know. You keep hunting for Spark, though, if that's something you're interested in doing, which I hope everyone is. Earn the Spark you can along the way, or the Sparklet you can along the way as we head towards, again, whatever it is that brings about the exchangeability of Upware, the listing for exchange, and the ERC20, or the 20, ERC20, the Ethereum compatible version of Sparklet that can be traded, exchanged, sold, etc. For tonight, thank you so much for being here. I think next Friday I'm going to do it. I've been thinking about it for a while. Just have fun on a Friday when we don't have big announcements. Getting in, doing a little bit of Vermont history, or a little bit of notable brands, notable people from Vermont, because it is the greatest state in the country. And when we have a little later day, why not? It's fun. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. On Fridays, it's usually a light one. It wasn't a bad one. Some good pieces of information. Continue to watch out for more. I thought about not having the forecast, not knowing that we had to have these things. Yeah, you make decisions in the game of Upland. Sometimes you get rewards, sometimes you don't, and that's what this is. You made a decision. You speculate you might have something or some reason. Now you have the opportunity to take some flips on or sell those passes, or burn it yourself if you really want that blueprint. So for tonight, thank you so much for being here. My name is Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. We'll see you again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. If you're in the Upland Discord Cafe, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.